On the banks of the Nile and in the shadow of the Mokattam Hills where the Arabian desert begins is Cairo, one of the most fascinating cities in the world. We make our way first to Shepheard's Hotel, which stands on the site where Napoleon established his headquarters after the Battle of the Pyramids. It is probably the most famous hotel in the world, one that down through the years has seen pass before its door an amazing panorama of life, and where even now the camel caravans of the past may mingle with the Rolls Royces of the present. Along this Occidental street, an Oriental funeral passes. The terrace of Shepheard's, a celebrated rendezvous for travelers, is a pleasant place to linger over a refreshing drink and watch the interesting traffic. The guides of Cairo, called dragomen, dress in long silken robes. They are not allowed to solicit before hotels, but are supposed to wait across the street until summoned. All do not obey the rule, and some persistently annoy strangers with their offers of service. These men, as a rule, are walking mines of misinformation, who often pose as sons of sheikhs and, according to the gullibility of the listener, stretch their imaginations in relating improbable tales. Keen rivalry exists among guides, and often a policeman has to settle disputes. Though he lost his chance, he retained his dignity. The modernization of Cairo was due to Ismail Pasha, first of the Khedives, who returned after a visit to Paris, determined to transform his city on the Nile as Napoleon III had transformed the city on the Seine. He had many fine boulevards laid out and caused the erection of numerous splendid buildings, including an opera house, as part of the program celebrating the opening of the Suez Canal. The extravagance of his ambitious plans, however, practically placed his realm in bankruptcy, but the city today is a pleasant monument to his extravagance. British troops are garrisoned in Cairo. Cairo has been likened to a fashionable piece of furniture placed upon an Eastern rug. The Arab section, which retains so much of its old-time picturesqueness, is perhaps the most interesting part to the traveler. The main thoroughfare of the Arab district is called the mosque. It leads from this square, Ataba el-Kahadra, and traverses the entire breadth of the old town. The square has lost much of its former oriental appearance, but the traffic which surges back and forth is still unchanged. This jolting two-wheel cart is the taxi of the poor. Another Arab funeral passes, this one a bit larger than the first we saw. It must be a man, and his 4 widows have treated themselves to a taxi. All aboard for a dash through the mosque. Yes, this old horse car still does a thriving business. But if in a hurry, it's better to walk. So we wander through the bazaars and among the oriental dwellings which seem thousands of miles removed from Western civilization. We are in the Cairo of the Arabian conquerors of Egypt. Pigskin water bags are still seen in the bazaars. The Egyptian mother carries her baby in this unique manner, astride her shoulder. Loaves of Arab bread. Here's another overloaded taxi. In this open-air barber shop, the assistant at the rear is waving away the flies. It is interesting to watch how skillfully the artisans work with tools of the most primitive description. When both hands are busy, the foot is put to work. Domino playing is one of the favorite pastimes of Arabs. Cairo has been called the city of minarets, for there are more mosques here than there are churches in Rome. Towering above the city is the citadel, an ancient fortress upon which stands an imposing alabaster mosque. The tall, slender minarets and the low, graceful domes are visible from many of the narrow streets of the bazaars. Built by Muhammad Ali as a tomb for himself, it is the dominating feature of the Egyptian capital. The view from the citadel is most imposing, for in the distance, through a belt of verdure, flows the river Nile, and at our feet is the largest city in Africa. Directly below is the Mosque of Sultan Hassan, said to be the finest existing monument of Egyptian Arab architecture. Looking beyond the Nile, we see the dim outlines of the three great pyramids. A splendid motor road connects them with the city. At the end of the road, camels and donkeys are available for tourists who wish to ride them. And it's always fun to watch the other fella get aboard. And don't forget to hold on tight when the camel arises. The pyramids, the colossal sepulchres of kings, and the hugest structures ever reared by man, stand upon the edge of the desert, their bases covered by sand. Tourists pose before the great monuments that were built nearly 5,000 years ago. All things, it is said, fear time. But time fears the pyramids. Close by crouches the Sphinx, the gigantic figure of a lion with a human head, typifying the union of intelligence and strength. Built over 6,000 years ago, it is probably the oldest relic of human workmanship the world knows. Time and Muslim fanaticism have destroyed the features of its face, but this relic of Egyptian antiquity still stands, solemn and silent, a symbol of eternity.